what the black man and woman needs to know about the nation, about the world, about themselves. Muhammad Speaks It. To order your 12-issue subscription to Muhammad Speaks newspaper, 313-371-7033. 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie is the grand champion of all bean pies. The rich flavor and smooth texture takes this pie to a whole new level of delicious. One bite and you'll understand why people all over the country call daily to order Kareem Bean Pie. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie.
This bean pie is delicious.
Muhammad Speaks presents Messenger Elijah Muhammad's Teachings by Minister Khalil Shabazz every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. at Muhammad's Temple of Islam, 12609 East McNichols Road in Detroit.
Brothers and sisters, rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Soul Masters, their gentlemen in which we now live. The alone do we serve, and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path, path of those upon whom thou bestow thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is to be served, worship to praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. We'd like to acknowledge the brothers and sisters that extended us the greetings of Assalamu alaikum. We have Sister Hala Brooks from California. We have Minister Isaac Muhammad from New York. We have Wali Muhammad from Louisiana. We have Brother Jeffrey Shabazz from North Carolina. I'd like to say in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and in the name of his last and greatest messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'd like to greet the brothers and sisters with the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Today we'd like to talk about how Islam saved the black man in America. That's our subject for today. But we always got to start off with these people. This is the Raleigh IUIC. And it says Islam is full of sugar honey iced tea. This is what they said about Islam, and this comes from the Raleigh, North Carolina IUIC. Then, this is the Raleigh, North Carolina Muslims. It's like as soon as they made this, then the brothers from the Raleigh temple with Farrakhan got to sit down with them. And if you look at the pictures that they sharing, you see the Israelite brothers with their Bibles, and the brothers in the temple look like they getting taught by the Israelite brothers. This is the hypocrite Louis Eugene. And the thing about the hypocrites, I want everybody to go to the Muhammad Speaks newspapers and read what the messenger taught on hypocrites. Because the thing about what the messenger taught, and I'm going to be honest, believing is wonderful. But when you experience and see and actually get to experience a lot of this stuff that the messenger said, it strengthens the belief. Because I'm at the point now where I believe what the messenger said. Even if I never saw it, even if I never experienced it, if he said it, I believe. All praise is due to Allah. But it's a whole nother thing to actually see and experience exactly what he's talking about. Because I used to read those articles on hypocrites. But I never really understood it until I actually began to look at Louis Farrakhan and what he's doing. So let's talk about how Islam saved the black man in America. Because we need to understand, as the messenger taught us, he said that our condition in America was so bad that Allah had to come himself. That's the one thing that we missing in this new school nation of Islam. When the messenger taught us what he taught, he didn't teach us based on his own experience and what he came up with in his own mind. God had to come himself to choose a messenger to teach the black man. So let's go to the October 19th, 1957 Pittsburgh carry. Because we got to go back to really understand our condition. We got to go back to when the messenger was the only one trying to wake up the black man. This comes from the October 19th, 1957 Pittsburgh carry. And this is what carrier readers think. One of the articles or the response to the editor says, intends to save Muhammad's copy. It says, I have been reading your article written by Mr. Muhammad on Jesus' history. These articles contain valuable material that I intend to save for future reference. I hope you continue to publish articles similar to these in your future issues, because everyone should be interested in material of this sort. This comes from Ellen Crane of New York City. Then it's another one that's right underneath hers. It says, carrier gets hand for its courage. It says, your courage in bringing to the public a man who speaks as bold as Mr. Muhammad deserves praise. If he is not afraid to speak the truth, and you are not afraid to print the truth, then we the public should do no less than accept it when we hear it. Wishing you and Mr. Muhammad most success. And this is from Eloise from Hartford, Connecticut. All praise is due to Allah. Now the one that I'm going to focus on right now is the one that says, carrier gets hand for its courage. Because we forget in this new school stuff with Bus Stop Bishop and the boys, with this black Hebrew Israelite garbage that they talking about. Because when the truth first began to hit the ears of the black man, they was like, this man got a whole lot of courage to be saying that in the public with these devils like they are. Not only do this man got a lot of courage to say it, you got a lot of courage to print what he's saying. Because the messenger taught us. He said our condition was so bad that God had to come. It wasn't going to happen with a spirit or a spook. God had to actually come to North America himself, speak boldly in front of all of these devils, and the messenger saw Master Farad Muhammad. The messenger said that when he first heard Master Farad Muhammad, he said it was something in him that he just couldn't get out of him. Because the messenger said when he first heard Master Farad Muhammad, he said he became one of his 100% converts. Yes, sir. This was the message. Because back in the day, but let's just read why the messenger was seen as being so courageous. Now this article came out October 19th, 1957. Let's go to April 25th, 1959. Let's go 2 years ahead. This says Birmingham minister prays during beating. It says, Lord, forgive these men. This was in the April 25th, 1959 Pittsburgh carry. It says, like Jesus on Calvary, the Reverend Charles Billups 34 years old, Birmingham minister, prayed for forgiveness for a mob of white men who brutally chain whipped him while he was bound, blindfolded, and tied to a tree here early on the morning of April the 10th. This was a preacher. To show you about this new school bus stop Bible babbling where we can just sit up and take the teachings of the messenger, retweak it, and just stand on the corner and talk this nonsense. This was a Christian preacher who was chain whipped while he was blindfolded and tied to a tree. After he getting beat with a chain, blindfolded, and tied to a tree, he said, Lord, please forgive them. This was the condition of the black man.
Yes, sir.
This was the condition of the black man when the messenger first started getting this truth into our ears. Because by the time this article came out, the messenger had been on the scene for 28 years. Imagine that. Imagine the messenger. It's 1959. You've been teaching Islam for 28 years. Devil still the devil. Black man still afraid of the devil. Ain't nobody accepting what you saying. But you still got to continue to say the same thing over and over and over again. It's 28 years now. Black man still scared of the devil, still don't accept Islam, still allow the white man to beat you and you don't do nothing. But I got to continue to tell you, you the God. God came to save you. The white man is the devil, over and over and over again. So let's go on even further with the article. It says, Lord, forgive these men. Bless their families, the Reverend Mr. Billups prayed. And bless my family too. At the point in the prayer, the chain and sticks began pedaling his back and body again. It was part of an ordeal of cruel, inhumane torture of a barbaric nature, presided over by a white man who was called the persecutor or the prosecutor. The Reverend Mr. Billups said in telling the carrier what happened. The Reverend Mr. Billups was also robbed of $48, most of which came from his sales of the carrier in his area. So this was a preacher selling the Pittsburgh carrier, just like Muslims was doing. Selling the Pittsburgh carrier. He got beat up by the devil for doing nothing wrong. He sell the Pittsburgh carrier, they take his money. They robbed the black man, and he still feels like he needs to pray for the people who they say is inhumane torture. While he's being inhumanely tortured, he finds in his mind to say, let me pray to God for these people who torture me. So let's go on even further. It says, taken on a wild kidnapping ride, with the Reverend Mr. Billups were two fellow workers from Hayes, James T. McCullum, 38, and Robert J. Kelly, 41, both neighbors. Mr. Cullum was hit over the head when the masked men stopped the pickup truck in which the three Negroes were riding and forced them out at gunpoint. It says they kept asking me questions about the movement, the Reverend Mr. Billups said, referring to the Alabama Christian movement for human rights, in which he has been the key worker. It says they also tried to make the Reverend Mr. Billups deny God. When he said he was a minister of God, they hit him, asking him, a minister of who? And each time he answered, a minister of God, they gave him 5 lashes, calling him a smart nigga. When he finally said he was a minister of Jesus, those lashes stopped. It says his back was torn and bleeding from blows from the chains. When the men began grabbing into the open places with prickling splinters to further torture him, the Reverend Billups said, the prosecutor told him to tell him why we shouldn't kill you. The Reverend Mr. Billups said, and then the whites allegedly took a vote on that idea. The prosecutor who did most of the talking and interrogating came to him and told him 64 voted to kill you and 3 voted against it. So that's 67 people where this brother said he was blindfolded, took on a kidnapping, and tied to a tree. You got 67 devils standing around beating this brother with a chain. Then it goes on to say, this was after some 2 hours of torture and beating in a wooded area, which the Reverend Mr. Billups says he couldn't locate now. Although he tried to keep track of the motor route taken by the car caravan, he estimated his attackers at probably 67 due to the death vote. Then this is what the brother said. He says, I don't hate anybody. The Reverend Mr. Billups said at home Wednesday night after his release. The hand of God was with me, else I wouldn't be here. His body showed the marks left by the chains so clearly imprinted as if they were the actual chains itself embedded in his skin. This was the condition of the black man. Now we're going to talk about the sisters, because the sisters wasn't free of attack either. This is the May 16th, 1959 Pittsburgh Carrier. It says white North Carolina jurors giggle at story of rape victim. It says in one case before Union County Supreme Court, white jurors giggled and nudged each other as a Negro woman, Miss Mary Ruth Reed, related how Louis Medlin, a white factory worker, beat and attempted to rape her during her last pregnancy. She has 6 children, the last being born since the incident last October 18th. Miss Reed testified that Medlin stopped at the small sharecropper's cabin while her husband was at work and tried to rape her in the presence of her children. This was in 1959. The messenger met Master Farad Muhammad in 1931. He taught him for 3.5 years. Then from 1934 to 1959, the condition of America never changed. The condition of the black man didn't change. So for 28 years, this is the condition of the black man and the suffering that we had to go through while you teaching the white man is the devil. The white man is persecuting preachers. We know they're not telling the truth. We know Jesus never rose from the dead. But to harass the black man, white man just harass, persecute, kill, hang, lynch, burn and bomb houses just to harass the black man. This was the condition that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to go through to get the truth to the black man. So let's go on even further. It says when she threatened to call police after he had knocked her down, she quoted him as saying, I don't give a damn about the police. They won't bother me anyway. Miss Reed says she broke away from Medlin and ran across a field with her youngest child in her arms. But she said Medlin caught her and knocked her down, beat her until her screams attracted a white woman neighbor. Miss Jo Griffith, a white woman, corroborated Miss Reed's story. The all-male jury deliberated only 45 minutes before acquitting Meadow. The white jurors, several of whom laughed openly as Miss Reed testified, sat with blank expressions as Medlin denied the charges. This was why God had to come. Praise due to Allah. God had to come in this environment that the black man was living in. Could you imagine? I read one time, I was in college. We read a book called The Dark End of the Street. The lady in the book, the author of the book, was a white woman. She said the reason why history does not record all of the rapes that was going on in the 60s and the 50s and the 40s and the 30s is because she said they don't want to make the white man look bad. Because if you was to talk about all of the rapes that was happening to the black woman, open rapes, well, this devil say, I don't give a damn if you call the police. You got jurors laughing at the sister while she got to relive and tell them when she know they ain't gonna convict the devil at all. She gotta relive this horror just to listen to them laugh, just to have them go in 45 minutes come back and say he acquitted. Laughing at you talking about how you been raped by this devil. This was the condition that the black man was in while the messenger was teaching us. And now you got, these brothers got the nerve to tell us that Islam is full of sugar, honey, iced tea. This is the thing about when the messenger said Islam is for those who want. He said Allah will make us all manifest when he please. Because some of this stuff that these people say against Islam, they say on the street, those are fighting words. I just be wanting to beat the dead horse. This fighting words. Yes. You supposed to get your head whooped on sight if you gonna tell a Muslim Islam is sugar, honey, iced tea. That's right. Because I just found recently that fight that they had in New York with Malcolm's people. It's a short little clip that I wish I would have brought, but it's on Getty Images. It's probably a 30-second clip where they showing the FOI chasing this person who tried to come to the meeting and do this kind of stuff that IUIC do. It looked like in the clip it was 1,000 FOI chasing this person. Then it was the brother that was on him, hit him in his head. Then he fell down and you can see him like that and then the video stopped. But it was 1,000 brothers chasing one person. Because Islam with the message is certain things that's fighting words. Yes. Because we got the truth. Because me and the brother was talking about it last week. And I don't want anybody to get the wrong understanding. We have the truth to defend any lie. We don't have to beat you up because you questioning us about Islam. That's not what I'm saying. And I hope that nobody gets that kind of understanding from what I'm saying. This ain't got nothing. If these brothers talking about Islam and sugar, ain't no defending it with the truth. We about to fight. When you say Allah is a rock in Mecca, ain't no I'm about to argue with you about no truth. That's disrespect. You try to disrespect and you don't fight disrespect with no we gonna argue about the truth. Because in Islam, it constantly talks about how fighting is prescribed, but the Muslim don't want to fight when you go read it in the Quran. Because it's a battle that Prophet Muhammad had. I forget the name of the battle. But Prophet Muhammad chose to fight an enemy that was way stronger than them, way more people than them, and they was looking at Prophet Muhammad like, why would you choose to fight them when we can easily beat them? And Allah in the Holy Quran talking about how the believers start having doubt in their mind about fighting because Prophet Muhammad chose to fight the stronger arm. Because in Islam, we don't take insults. We don't take abuse. We are peaceful with our people. The messenger taught us never be the aggressor. But he said, fight with those who fight with you. So I'm over the rostrum now telling people the truth about Islam. This is what happened. This is the history. This is the truth. But once you start talking about disrespect, a verbal attack is the same as a physical attack when you talking about Islam. So this right here ain't no sitting down with these brothers trying to get them to understand. These brothers supposed to be physically fighting them. That's the understanding I want you to get. When you talking about the honorable Eli, ain't no sitting down letting somebody attack. When in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, to bring it all the way home. In 1966, the messenger wrote an article on hypocrites. He said Malcolm's fall should serve as a warning to all hypocrites who wish to scandalize Allah, his messenger, and his messages. He said it should serve, but if it don't, he is an example for all hypocrites, saying if we got to do round number 2, you will see that you do not scandalize Allah, his messenger, or his messages. That was the message. Because a lot of times we think that the messenger wasn't down with brothers getting their head whooped. We think the messenger was like, no. That's why I try my best to bring as much history as I can. Whether it's from the Muhammad Speaks newspaper or it's from another article. The messenger was the main fighter. Because in 1930s, the messenger had to go on the run. His belief didn't change. But the messenger was in a condition where he had to take certain things that later on he didn't have to take.
Right.
So in the 1930s, he had to go on the run. Messenger said when he had to go on the run, he said, I didn't cry. He said, I wanted to be a father to my children just like any man. But he said, I didn't cry. I didn't pout. He said, because I knew that one day I will be the winner.
That's right.
So in the 1960s, the messenger ain't have to run no more from the hypocrites. The messenger can tell Muslims, fight the hypocrite. The messenger could put Malcolm's head in the paper. He couldn't put his brother Khalat's head in the paper. He couldn't put them hypocrites in the 30s head, but he could put Malcolm's head in the paper. In March, just to drive the point all the way home, after the assassination of Malcolm X, in March of 1965, Malcolm X's second in command threatened the messenger to show you how hard the messenger fought for Islam. This brother got on the radio and said the messenger wouldn't last to the end of the week. Now in the 1930s, he couldn't have did nothing about that. He had to go on the run. Hypocrites threatened him, trying to kill him. He had to go on the run. But in 1965, he ain't had to go on the run. So he took that same brother who made the threat, put him in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper and put wanted at the top of his picture.
That's right.
Messenger had his name, his weight, his height, or everything that if you was looking for him, you wouldn't have no problem finding him. So in 1965, Savior's Day, the messenger talking to that same brother who he didn't attack the messenger. He didn't physically attack, he threatened him. So the messenger told him, he said, this brother had the nerve to threaten me over the radio. He said, when we find you. He didn't say if. He didn't say we calling the police on you. And he said, when we find you. He said, we will entertain you. Praise due to Allah. And he said, that will be an entertainment you will never forget.
That's right.
That was the message. He wasn't playing when he came to Islam. When the messenger would find out that ministers were saying what he didn't tell them to say, he would have a warning in the paper. Because God chose him. And this is what I want everybody to understand. When you go look at the messenger's history, he had a whole different approach to Islam than we do. You can tell he was the messenger. He was no nonsense when it came to Islam. In 1966, Muhammad Ali, 1969, excuse me. Muhammad Ali went back to boxing. And you should read in the Jet magazine, because when the messenger first suspended Muhammad Ali, he didn't give no explanation. But the black man in Jet magazine felt like the messenger went a little bit too hard on Muhammad Ali. They was talking about, look at all the stuff Muhammad Ali did for Islam and all that. So the messenger came out with a full-page article explaining to the black man why on sight he put Muhammad Ali out for a year. Started calling Muhammad Ali Cassius Clay.
That's right.
For a whole year. At the end of this article, he said Muhammad Ali is an example for the weak believer. That's what he said about Muhammad Ali, because after he put Muhammad Ali out for a year, Muhammad Ali came back and kept boxing. So the messenger kept using. That's what I like about, he used them hypocrites. Okay, praise due to Allah. You want to box? Promote my hospital. Promote my teachings to the black man. But you gonna pay for what you doing. He said Muhammad Ali is an example for the weak believer. Then you got this hypocrite Lewis. The messenger said, with a whole bunch of laborers in the room, he said, we got a hypocrite who rising up through the ranks. He said he gonna make Malcolm's work look like child's play.
That's right.
He said that while that hypocrite was sitting right there. He said, we got a hypocrite rising up through the ranks. He gonna make Malcolm's work look like child's play. He said he is a master of the English language. That's all he said. That hypocrite Louis Farrakhan explains that same talk. But he don't say it because he's so honest. The reason why he said it because there was other laborers in the room that heard the messenger say that. After all them laborers heard what the messenger said, everybody in the room knew it was Farrakhan. They all knew. He says it himself. But the reason why he talks about it now is because he want to reinterpret that for his followers. Like, they all thought it was me. How could you think it was me? Because it is you. Messenger told Farrakhan several times in his face. One time this hypocrite said, they was listening to one of Farrakhan's speeches, because he even talks about it. They said a sister started praising him, telling the messenger, look how good Farrakhan's speaking, he doing such a good job. Farrakhan said the messenger slammed his hand on the table and say he's getting the fame, so that when he turns hypocrite on me, the whole world will see him.
That's right.
That was the messenger told this hypocrite in his face.
Yes.
He said it was like he stuck a spoke in my heart. No. That hypocrite was like, damn, how he see me? All this pretending, all this loud bearing witness, and he still see I'm a hypocrite. How he see? Brother Jeremiah, he used to write articles in 1965 talking about how the messenger used to tell them about Malcolm. He said he used to tell some of his laborers how Malcolm was going to flip the script. Jeremiah said the messenger told them to read certain parts in the Quran. He said it don't say Malcolm's name, but it gives his characteristics. That was the message. Think about if he wasn't a soldier for Islam like he was. Where would we be? Where would we be with these old weak, chicken-hearted brothers that will sit with some more fakes while they tell you your religion is sugar, honey, iced tea? All the sacrifices the messenger made for us. One of my most favorite stories I always got to talk about was from Brother Ahmad Muhammad. I remember this brother, he used to tell us that when the messenger used to tell him to say them papers. I remember when I first heard him tell us that. He said the messenger told him, he said he used to want to have a big post. Because everybody feel like the minister and the captain, that's the big, everybody see them, they get all the praise. Saving papers, what is that? So he said when the messenger told him to just save all of his newspapers, just save them. He looking like, what? That's all you want me to do? But Brother Ahmad was a soldier. Regardless of what a soldier is told to do, he obey orders. So Brother Ahmad said he took all the Muhammad Speaks newspapers and he had them papers in immaculate. Them papers, I'm talking about, he had them in the plastic cover. They looked like they just came off the press.
That's right.
That's how he was saving all them papers. So he said he would say he didn't know why. He didn't understand why. But he just did what the messenger told. So now the messenger died. Wallace and the hypocrites was taking the message to the black man, how he to live, all the messenger's articles, and throwing them away. But Brother Ahmad has saved. I remember the first time I read a Muhammad Speaks newspaper article. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how Muslims really was. Because when you be with this hypocrite Lewis, you think Islam is just this old brother stuff. The messenger taught the Muslims to be a brother to your brother. Love your black brother. I don't want people to think that the messenger just wanted us to beat up on our brother. He didn't want us to do that. He used to teach us as FOI to take on insults from people. He said that they the ones who got the money and they the ones who buy the paper. They the ones who we after. So he said, you know they dead. So you can't just jump on them. Sometime they might say something crazy to you. Yes, sir, thank you. And just move on. He didn't teach us to argue with them. He didn't teach us to fight them. None of that. But messenger told us once it's on, it's on. He said Muslims is like that lion. He said the lion will not bother you if you don't strike at him or interfere with his peace. But once you interfere with a lion's peace, it's on.
That's right.
That's how the messenger taught us about Islam. You leave us alone, we won't bother you. You got real sincere, because the one thing I hate about these Israelites, Muslims are the ones who actually started to challenge the white man about what he taught. Muslims was the ones going to colleges and universities debate all over the radio. The messenger used to have question and answer periods. The messenger used to put his home address in the Pittsburgh Carrier telling you to write and answer a question. Right. In the Pittsburgh Carrier, the messenger would answer the letters to the editor. We the ones who started this. So now you got an Israelite to tell us that Islam is sugar, honey, iced tea. No, we're not supposed to accept that. And me as a minister, I don't want to be around brothers who think this is cool. I don't want to be a minister of a temple where you got people disrespecting the messenger and the FOIA man. Because when you read the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, you had believers writing about enemies of Islam. It used to be sisters writing articles, letting the lost found know. Do you think we just gonna sit idly by and listen to you disrespect the messenger? They say we will defend him mentally, morally, and spiritually, and physically. Because the teachings of the messenger is the last salvation for the black man. Messenger said there will be no messengers or warners coming after me. He said when the executors come, he said they don't come to teach us nothing. When the executors come, it's all she wrote. So he said that the black man is in such a condition. And we've been taught lies so long. He said that he would make the truth so plain that even a fool cannot err. So when you have Israelites who will say Islam is sugar, honey, iced tea, they doing that just to disrespect. That's right. They not doing this to get understanding. They not doing this just because they doing this because the Muslims done got soft. And the messenger warned us about that. He said you will have to learn the hard way once you begin to get soft. Because what people need to understand is the same way Muslims will not defend Islam, they won't defend you. Because if you got a laborer who won't defend the messenger, what happens when you come to him with some kind of problem? Let's say you got an issue that you need him to step in and defend you. You think he gonna defend you if he won't defend the messenger? You think he gonna defend you if he won't defend Islam? No, he won't. That's why the messenger taught us. He said a lot of people say with their mouth what they don't believe in their heart. He said you're supposed to be on the lookout for these kind of people, because he told us that it's dangerous to befriend a hypocrite. He said a hypocrite could be your wife. A hypocrite can be your husband. And he said all they doing is trying to get next to you to win your confidence. That's what we got to understand. All they doing is trying to get next to you to win your confidence. Once they win your confidence, they gonna stick that knife right in your back. That's why God had to come and choose a messenger. Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about his brother Khalil. He said, I never would have thought that Khalil would have turned on me. He said, I made him the big boss over all. And that shows us that people who are envious and jealous and hypocrites, they're not satisfied with big positions. They want your position. That's what the hypocrite wants. So no matter how nice you is to the hypocrite, no matter how friendly you are, no matter how many sit-downs you have, when a hypocrite wants your spot, they want your spot. Yes, sir. Messenger said that's when murder sets in their heart. All they want to do after that is to kill you. That's what the messenger taught. That's why he said don't watch them one time, watch them all the time. Yes, that's why he told us you're supposed to make examples out of people. Because we have women and children that we got to protect as FOI. We can't make nobody think even a verbal threat. You can't verbally threat a sister. You can't verbally say nothing out the way to a sister. I heard this hypocrite, Louis Eugene. This was in 1972, I believe. He was talking to lost found brothers about giving a sister the greetings wrong. I'll never forget that. Because I used to believe in all that old my black brother stuff too. Until I started listening to him, mainly. He was in the temple telling lost found brothers. He said, brother, don't you know that you will get all the teeth beat out your head? He said, brothers coming around sisters talking about assalamu alaikum in some flirty kind of way. He said, you would get all the teeth beat out your head in temple number 7 to the lost found. He said, if you give a sister the greeting, you give it to her right. Do you think them brothers was giving sisters the greetings wrong after he told? No. Because in Islam, it says people can exceed the limits. And I know I beat a dead horse with these Israelites. Because in Islam, the messenger said, we are only responsible for ourselves. We can't make no other Muslim do or believe nothing they don't want to believe. So all I can do is tell you as a believer what a Muslim would do. Because I don't want you to get it confused. Because these Israelites getting more and more disrespectful. They getting bigger and bigger. But just like the messenger in the 30s, his belief didn't change. Just because he didn't have a big FOI, his belief did not change. Just like with us, our belief is not going to change. We believe you're supposed to get your teeth knocked out for disrespecting the message. That's what we believe. That's what they believed then. That's what we believe now. Because the messenger taught us, 1974, he said, hold on to that plow. He said, hold on to that plow. Hold on. He said, that plow won't let you go. You have to let it go. He said, I can't promise you no smooth going. But he said, I can promise you one thing. You will be the winner. We believe the messenger at his word. We ain't gonna wait for Islam to get big and then start, no, right now. He the messenger of God. God came July 4th, 1930 to choose him. Messenger taught us that when God chose him, he said he didn't just choose the message. He let everybody choose. Messenger said that God gave everybody, let me see who you think should be. Because the messenger taught us that Master Farad Muhammad had a whole lot of ministers. Had a whole lot. They say in the 34, it was like 8,000 believers in the city. That's what the Detroit News say. So it was a whole lot of believers. So the messenger said one day they was all in a room. Master Farad Muhammad said, okay, I'm going to let everybody choose who you think should be my supreme minister. So everybody started choosing who they thought should be their supreme minister. Everybody overlooked the message. So after everybody got to choosing, God in person said, I choose you, Elijah Kareem. He said that in front of everybody. Yes. Soon as he chose Elijah Kareem, what happened? Jealousy set in. Jealousy set in. Also, it was the first trial for the messenger. We was able to see what the messenger was made of. Messenger was the top soldier. Messenger ain't let nobody or nothing take him off his course. Death didn't stop him. When Master Farad Muhammad chose him, he didn't stop till his death. Messenger say, ain't nothing gonna stop me. He said only death And he said, in death I still be the winner. Messenger was on the run for 7 years for his life. Messenger said that he was on the run. He said it was plenty of close calls. You can listen to the Messenger 1965 when he came here to Detroit. Messenger started talking about it was plenty close calls. He used to say they was on his heels so close. He says he would come to sister where Sister Clara was, walk through the front door, kiss Sister Clara, and just walk out the back. That's right. He said because they was on his heels. He didn't talk like Master Farad Muhammad just got him out the way. He said it was on my heels. He said it was plenty of close calls. But that didn't stop the message. So the Messenger did that for 7 long years, he said. Then he said on the eve. And the thing about the Messenger that touches your heart, when he tell it from the heart. Yes. You can tell when he telling it to you, he reliving it. Yes. Because I remember listening to him talk about how on the eve, he said on the eve, when Master Farad Muhammad told him that all the hypocrites is dead. That's right. He had been running for 7 years. Master Farad Muhammad say, okay, it's over now. All the hypocrites dead. You think I can go home to my family. Go home, see Sister Clara. Go see Wallace now. He said on the eve, the FBI picked him up to take him to jail for another 5 years. He was talking about how much the strain was on his heart. That strain and that pressure. He was talking about how when he would go to jail and the brothers would pay the bail, he said just to get out from under all of that strain and pressure. This was the Messenger talking. Yes. Talking about how much strain was on him. Then another one that he said, he was talking about riding on the train. Because these stories help us as believers. Yes, because it get hard for us. Yes. When you see Bus Stop Bishop now, keeping it real, it's a lot of them. It's only a few believers. So it get hard as a believer to keep on talking about them while you barely see a Muslim. And I want to give a shout out to all the Muslims that's saying something to these fakes. Give a shout out. We with you. But it get hard sometimes. You be looking at these brothers like how y'all sitting with them. So listening to the Messenger, talk about the hypocrites, talk about how he was sitting on the train. He said he felt like Islam should have been moving way faster than what it was moving. But it was going slow. He said he felt discouraged. So he said he was just sitting on the train feeling down. He said he could hear Master Farad Muhammad's voice in the train tracks, telling him, did you think upon your belief that you would not be tried? That's what the Messenger said. And that's while he was on the run. Then he had to spend another 7 years or 5 years in prison. Messenger talked about how they used to have to make a meal out of potatoes. He was talking about how them devils were trying to poison them with all that hog. This was before you could just tell the devil you're a Muslim. He said they used to have a whole meal out of potatoes. But he talked about how he enjoyed converting all of them prison brothers. That's one thing the Messenger liked. The Messenger liked them brothers from the mud. He loved, not to say he didn't love all black people, but he loved a fighting brother. He loved a brother that don't take no whole lot of convincing. It don't take a brother in the mud once they love Islam. It don't take a lot of convincing. All the Messenger got to do is put it in the paper. Let one of them brothers see it. Brother from college like, I wonder what the Messenger mean. Not a brother from the mud. Brother from the mud see it one time, that must mean he want him. That must mean he want us to beat his head. We gonna whoop it when we find it. Messenger love them kind of brothers. When the messenger, talk about the messenger. In 1974, when the messenger began to get all this praise, all of the business brothers started joining the nation. All the college students. Messenger was in the hospital. He told that hypocrite Lewis, he said, you let them to know, I appreciate all this praise that's coming from the white man. I appreciate all this praise coming from these college and these business brothers. But he said it was the man in the mud that was helping me.
That's right.
Long before I got all this money. Long before we had all these bits. So I want to give a special shout out to them brothers in the mud. Them was the brothers that was with me from the beginning.
Yes.
That was the message. He ain't let you, he ain't leave you dangling. He ain't sit up there and get all this praise and forget. No, them brothers in the mud. Them brothers that couldn't read and write. Them brothers that fought for me while I was in the penitentiary. Them brothers that fought for Islam while I was on the run. Because when you go read Brother Kareem Allah, go read him talk about a hypocrite and a disbeliever. Because Kareem Allah, to tell you how old school he was, he didn't call Master Farad Muhammad Master Farad Muhammad. He called him W.D. Farad. That's old school when you say W.D. Farad. He would say when W.D. Farad. That was how old school Brother Kareem Allah was. He all the time talked about fight. He talked about how they had to set a precedence so people understand Muslims wasn't playing. He said we wasn't for no games. He said if you didn't mean us no good, you just stay away from us. That's how he was talking about them brothers in the 30s and the 40s. That's why I talk about fighting so much now. We got to be reminded because we in the same condition the messenger was in the 30s.
Yes.
So we need brothers that's off the top understand we got to fight.
Right.
Ain't none of this coming in, sitting around, just watching time go by. We got to fight.
Yes.
We got to fight with whatever we got. If all we got is the word, we fight with the word. When Allah bless us like he blessed the messenger, then we can put people in the paper. Put their picture in the paper and put wanted at the top.
Right.
But we ain't in that condition now. All we got is the word. But all we got, I ain't gonna say all we got. Because we got Allah. The messenger told us that Allah is the great number one God.
Yes.
He said, call on him.
Yes.
Messenger said, when we pray, he said, believe he heard you. That's something important that we got to remind believers. We ain't just praying in the wind. We ain't just talking to ourselves. We talking to the true and living God.
Yes.
We got to know that. We got to know we got a God that hears us. That's what the messenger said. He hears you and he will answer you. That's what the messenger said. But he said you got to believe it. You can't say no prayer that you don't believe in yourself. You got to believe in what you saying. You got to believe in the God that you talking to, and you got to believe he hears. So our prayer to the God, Master Farad Muhammad, is to keep the believer strong.
Yes.
Bless us to fight the good fight, like the messenger said, till the last drop of blood.
Yes.
Well, brothers and sisters, we don't want to prolong the time. So I leave you as I came in the nation of Islam, greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Enjoying the show? Help keep us on the air. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033 to make a donation.
Brothers and sisters, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, sole master's day of judgment in which we now live. The alone that we serve and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path. Path of those upon whom thou spell thy favors. not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is earth to be served, worship or praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us not to do anything to anyone that we wouldn't have done it to ourselves, treat everybody right, even the devil. Assalamu alaikum.